And also, guys, I wanted to ask, I mean, you usually work on your own, right? Like, if you are a computer programmer, you usually work on your own. How is it been, Glenn?
I usually work with one or two people.
Okay.
But it's being with this kind of group it's pretty remarkable to see. It's a great thing to not be the only one writing code. And so in my own group, I originally started where it was myself being the programmer and someone else who's the designer. If I was stuck on something or I wanted to tackle a hard problem that I wasn't sure I could conquer, I knew that my day would be wasted if I didn't get it. And so maybe I would be a little less ambitious. Whereas here you've got other people working on other things, and I go away for 5 minutes, I come back, and look, the progress is, the project has moved along a great deal. And so it's very neat to be with a group of people like this where, everybody's making progress, everybody's doing something, and you can have a discussion. And so I don't have to be, as an individual, you always have to decide, exactly how you're going to do it, and you can't bounce ideas off of others. But having this kind of group.
And is there any difficulties in working with so many people?
Yeah.
I mean, has everything been amazing these 2 days? Or sometimes you thought like, fuck, I just want to be on my own.
Mostly it's been pretty good. I think there have been some challenges where you have people, like there's a kind of a spectrum. So there's Jim, who's all the way on the server side of things now, and then there's some data people in between, and then there's some view controllers, and then there's maybe some other controllers put in there. So you've got different levels of abstraction. So you've got people working on kind of this, like different levels of the problem, and sometimes concern, like, so if I'm making a view controller, which is something that people see, and I say, I need to have access to this information, I can ask, one person who asks another person who asks another person, because it has to go all the way back.
Okay.
And so we found some mistakes that we made initially in kind of building the architecture for this system that have kind of bubbled their way up all the way to the surface, and then whoever is actually trying to make this presentable realizes, oh, we need to restructure this whole thing.
Sure.
And so we've had a few instances like that, but generally things have been compartmentalized enough and the boundaries have been defined clearly enough that things have worked pretty well.
What do you think, Jonathan?
Well, I'm used to collaborating. I work at a company, but it's a web-based company called Casting Networks in Los Angeles. But the real difference is that I have my own skill set, and I'm working with other people who have their own skill sets. So it's usually, I don't have anybody who's able to necessarily do what I do, and so it's a little bit nerve-wracking to me because the people here, they can read whatever bad code I might write, and I'm not used to that. There's no chance of me getting embarrassed because nobody else can understand what it is that I'm writing. Yeah. And so, and I think at first we had I think some people were timid, and I think I still am, but I'm getting a little bit more confident in this group and being able to rely on the others and all too. So it's been a different experience than my other collaboration, but it's awesome, and there's nothing better than having a whole bunch of like-minded, developers and all working together and trading ideas. And
is Aaron a real guru? I mean, is it amazing for you to be here with him?
Yeah,
it's great.
Is it a big name?
It's been really great to work with him. I think he's helped in two main areas. One, as he's written the book, he's got this vast technical knowledge of, if you ask him a question, how do I do this? He's going to know, or he's going to have really good advice on how to figure it out. But, by itself, all that means is he could program really well, or he can give you some advice. But I think his expertise has come in figuring out how to kind of separate us all out and make sure that all 10 of us have things that we can work on. And so it's one thing to be able to answer every question, but it's another thing to structure a team in such a way that everybody can be working towards the same goal, and you don't have 9 people waiting on one person. And I think that's a lot due to the way he's figured out how to do this. So working with Aaron has been it's been really good.
And he steered us in the right direction a lot too, in terms of whenever a developer, I think I consider developers to be creative, but usually anytime somebody comes up with something creative, they're attached to it. They don't want to let it go. And I think Aaron's done a very good job of picking, that's a good idea, but we're not going to do that. And he's, it's not in a mean way or anything, but it's trying to keep us all on the same page and have a manageable timeline and product.
Yeah, it was very interesting what he said about creative process, and like that an application shouldn't be so innovating. I thought it was.
Mhm.
He said that yesterday, and I thought it was very interesting. Like
There's a lot of truth to that. There's
usefulness before creativity, in a way. You know?
Yeah, there is a lot of truth to that. I mean, like Apple has their human interface guidelines for both the iPhone and the Mac, and essentially what those set out to do is to keep people from coming up with all sorts of wild interfaces, and they're kind of like, stick to what we've done, what works, what we provide you, and then sort of add things on that, like, where it makes sense. But that way, when somebody picks up the phone or they're able to, they know what this does, and they know what this does,
Cool. So let's go back to work. It's time, I think. Let's go back to the big geek room.
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you.